The Coonhound Collective podcast is brought to you by Conkeys Outdoors, because we support the people who support our way of life, and CZ Welding and Fabrication, custom dog boxes built by hunters for hunters. Check these guys out today. This is your host, Jason Snellgrove, and I will be your guide as we journey down the road to pleasure hunt or hitting the long trail to those great comp hunts. This is the Coonhound Collective podcast.
It seems like every big hunt you go to, you see new, more and more new faces, and it's great. I love it. I absolutely love seeing that in this sport, and this sport's growing, and I think that the best is yet to come with this sport.
Welcome to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. Today we're going to be interviewing Mr. Lane Denny. I first seen Lane Denny on Josh Michaela's YouTube channel, The Big Show Productions, and I've always wanted to sit down and talk with him, and today we're going to get that chance. So if you'll stand by, we'll have Lane join us via the telephone. Tell us about, who you are and where you're from and that type of stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, my name's Lane Denny. I'm from Oklahoma, a small town in northeastern Oklahoma called Jay. Went to school in Jay and graduated high school from Jay there. Growing up, I played sports, played football and baseball, and just always been a real competitive type of person. Grew up on a little 90-acre farm with my dad. They're just east of Jay, but real nice place, and that's kind of where I grew up at, and that's kind of a little bit about me. I got an older brother. His name's Andy. Got two nieces, and just pretty simple life that I live.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. It's kind of like me. I grew up on a little farm in southeast Alabama, so there's some relation there. And I first seen you on Josh Michaela's the Big Show Production YouTube channel, and I thought, well, that's pretty cool. This guy don't live too far from me here. And then we were able to meet in person when I was getting my hunt director apprenticeship done for PKC. So I was able to come over and hunt with y'all. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Josh, he interviewed me. I think he's interviewed me a couple times. I think the YouTube thing he done was about 2 years ago. But yeah, that was always a blast. And like I said, I appreciate you inviting me on here and to interview me for this thing here. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're on the road today. Where are you headed to?
I'm headed to Princeton, Indiana, to the Spring Super Stakes.
Yeah, well, for people that don't know Lane Denny is a two-time world champion, won the youth world championship, and then was it 2019, Lane? Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
And so 2014 was the youth, 2019 was the big world championship. So that's pretty impressive for sure. That's a impressive resume to start with, at least.
I appreciate that.
Won't you tell us how you got into coon hunting?
Man, I was about 12 years old when I got into coon hunting. My daddy actually got me into it, and kind of a little backstory that not many people know, and I didn't know it honestly until probably about 5 or 6 years ago. But my dad grew up coon hunting, and my dad's family, my mom's family was just kind of, they was all friends, and they all knew each other. And my mom lived, I'd say a couple miles from my dad, just kind of through the country, and it wasn't nothing but woods from my dad's house to my mom's house. But like I said, growing up, my dad had hounds, and, his dogs wasn't nothing special. I mean, they tree coons, and they might tree possums, run deer. He just done it just for pleasure, and really just to have something to do back then. But my dad, what he would actually do is when he would go see my mom when they first started dating, he'd turn his dogs loose, and he'd kind of hunt the direction toward my mom's house, and he'd see my mom for a couple hours, and he'd go home. But so I guess you could say coon hunting's been kind of a part of my life even before I knew it. It's just kind of a neat deal. But my dad got me into it when I was about 12. He coon hunted, like I said, growing up, and he got out of it, of course, when he got older, got a job, had kids and stuff, and he just got to missing it, and he just, growing up, my brother and I both, we loved deer hunting and just being outside fishing, being on the farm, And so he thought, man, I'm gonna get, he got me two dogs, and basically what ended up happening was my brother got one of them. But anyways, we got two dogs. They're two little Walker dogs, and we started messing with them and training them, and my brother's dog actually turned out to be a lot better hound than mine was. But my brother, he enjoys it, and even till today, he likes going when he can. But it didn't stick with him kind of like it did with me. The very first time that I went hunting, even before I got hounds, I was stuck. A lot of people that might have heard of the podcast with Josh with me might heard the story, about the English dog that everybody called Buck that I hunted with for the very first time. But Buck was a good dog, and he was actually a friend of my dad's at the time. My dad worked with him at a pet food place. But anyways, the first time I went hunting there, man, with old Buck, it was hook, line, and sinker. It was from that moment on. I told my dad when we went home that night, I said, hey, I've got to have a dog, and I knew from that moment on, that I was always going to have a coon dog tied up at my house. And I at the time I had no idea what a competition coon hunt was. Believe it or not, I got into it like a lot of people got into it, just for the love of it. The dogs and the sport of it. I tell you, I loved every single moment of it. And then, of course, when I got involved in the competition side of things, it was even more. It even got me hooked even more, I guess you could say, growing up being as competitive as I was. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit how I got started into it. My dad, I owe him everything. He got me into this sport that has honestly changed my life forever. It's been a huge blessing. It really has.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome for sure there. Speaking of other dogs, I know you talked about the Buck dog there. What was your first dog that you had that you remember taking and really starting to have a dog that would win, that you could win a cast with or win a hunt with?
Yeah, believe it or not, when the first two, like I said, the first two dogs that I had was Walker dogs, and they wasn't registered. My dad got me them, but the first good one that really kind of set in stone the type of dog that I like hunting and packing around is he was actually a blue dog. I got him from a man lived probably 20 minutes from me. His name was Ronnie Ward. I was a kid. I think I might have been 13 at the time, maybe 14. So not long after I got into it. But Ronnie, I met Ronnie at there was a small club there by my house that had club hunts, and I got involved in that little club and started going to the club hunts with these dogs that I had. But nevertheless, I met Ronnie at this club, and Ronnie and we kind of became friends, and I started hunting with Ronnie quite a bit. And Ronnie was nice enough to give me a puppy off of he had an old dog at the time he called Deja Vu, and this dog was off of Vu and a female called Lucy that Rocky Nugent, the boys down around Holbert owned. But anyways, that dog was probably the first one that turned into what I think what I look for in a dog even today, even though he was a blue tick, and he was the right kind. But when I got him, he was 8 months old, and I showed him a cage coon for the very first time. Probably a couple of days after I got him, I was so excited to start training on this pup, that I wasn't going to waste no time on trying to get me a coon caught to show this pup a coon. But first coon I ever showed him, turned it loose, and he ran and treed it. And, the dog was just a natural. I called him Cash. But Cash was just an absolute natural. From the very first time I ever took him hunting. Matter of fact, the very first time I turned him loose at night, a couple of my dad's friends come over, and we turned him loose. And this big old pup was just kind of around us, and we was walking. The dogs got treed, and we was walking to him there, and well, on the way to him, we hear another dog kind of open left-handed away from these other dogs, and this dog's kind of running a track down through this creek bottom, and this dog comes treating. We're like, I don't know what dog this is. And we get to look around, that pup's gone. And so anyways, I thought, man, surely that's not that pup. But just in case, I run in there, and sure enough, it was that pup. And the old dogs had a den up on the hill, and this pup had a coon treat. And we rolled it out to him. Man, it was ever since then that dog was the right kind. he was a dead loner, had a good mouth, he moved around good. I mean, everything that most guys look for, that will win. This dog had it. I mean, he had everything. He had his coons when he got treed. He was just a real nice dog. But I had him for a while, and of course that was back before I had driver's license. So I only got to go to the hunts that people would let me ride with them. Or my dad, he would take me when he could. He worked growing up. My dad worked hard and worked about 6-7 days a week, so he didn't have much time. But I was very fortunate enough to have met some friends that lived close to me, some older guys that kind of took me in under their wing and would pack me around to some hunts. And this dog, man, I was just a kid. I had no idea what I had at the time or nothing like that or what I was doing. But back then it was, I would mainly hunt UKC hunts, because that's what everybody around me hunted, and that's what they would take me to. But this dog back then, you had to have a first place win plus 100 points, I think, to make a night champion. But this dog was I would say he was only probably 13 months old at the time that I started taking these hunts. And I bet this dog had, 5 or 6 second place wins in UKC, a couple thirds. I mean, he never did make him a night champion, but this dog had several cast wins. And I was actually getting him ready to go to Battle of the Breeds. I'd never been, and back then it was kind of a big deal and everybody went. So I was kind of getting him ready for it. And I didn't have a Garmin or tracking system back then. I was just a poor kid and honestly didn't even really know what it was. Back then a lot of guys had like those tracker classics. But anyways, I didn't have a tracking system. I was hunting this dog with a friend of mine, getting him ready to go to Battle of the Breeds and cut him loose. Of course, he was a loner, so he never was with anything. But he went left-handed and this other dog went right-handed. My dog got struck down there in the draw and was trailing away from us, and the other dog ended up getting treed and had a coon. We went in there and rolled that coon out to that other dog and pulled off that tree and got to listening for mine, and it was just like he fell off the face of the earth. He just showed up and that's the last I ever seen of him. But a couple people that saw him, they said I don't know what happened to him, but it was kind of a bad deal, because I mean I was in love with that dog and I was just a kid, it made me want to all but quit, but fortunately, I didn't. But that's kind of he was kind of Cash was kind of the first one that really set in stone and what I would look for in a dog. I mean, he, in my opinion, he was a very good dog. Probably even to this day, probably one of the better ones that I have on.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Sounded like he was definitely a pretty good dog. So after Cash, did you get you another dog, or what dogs have you've handled some dogs for some people as well, right?
Yeah. After Cash, I tell you what I done. I just I'd buy a couple pups and I just try to make me another one, man, and it just didn't work out. I mean, none of them was like him, and of course, I mean that's the thing. You get a good one like that, it just spoils you, I mean, but so I went through several dogs, and I had some dogs that would treat coons, and some that I packed around to some local hunts and done a little bit of winning with, but nothing was like that dog, and I was just going through them, trying to. I'd buy a dog, hunt it a while, kind of get it looking right, and then, I'd sell it, because it wasn't exactly what I was looking for. But it took me a while, but it probably, I would say 2 years after I lost Cash, that's when I ended up getting Emmy. I bought Emmy about 2 years later. But I had handled a few dogs for some people, too, the very first time I got to go to the Youth World Hunt, I handled a dog for Roy and Teresa Ingram, a Walker dog they called Striker. They was fortunate, it was fortunate enough they let me handle Striker, and he was a pretty good dog, but I hunted him in some hunts, and then hunted a dog for the guy that was partners with me on Emmy, Carl Reed. I hunted a dog for him called Dizzy, and she was a really good dog, so I was fortunate enough to still handle some decent dogs, and good dogs. But as far as me owning one, I was looking and looking and looking, and then fortunately enough, I ran across Emmy and bought her. But
Okay. Well, you mentioned Emmy there, and that she was next on my list here to ask about. So tell us that story, how you got her and what it was like to get her started, and kind of what the process was, getting her up and ready and getting her hunting.
Right. Yeah. So I got Emmy. Like I said, I was around 15, I think, when I got her, maybe 16. Um, but well, then I guess I was 15 because she's 10 now. But anyways, I got her as a puppy, and I think she was 9, 10 months old when I bought her. I give $450 for her. A guy had her for sale, and he goes through some dogs. But anyways, I bought her as a pup and took her, and she was she was like cash. I mean, from the very first night that I ever turned her loose, she was just a natural. And that excited me more than anything because out of all the pups between her and Cash that I had, none of them was like that. Most of them was real slow starters. So that kind of sparked me about her, how quick she started. And of course, when she started treeing coons, she was a dead loner. I mean, she could tree just about any type of coon, even as a baby. I remember the very first cast I ever put her in. She was 11 months old, and and she treated 2 coons in an hour and looked very good. And I thought, thank goodness, I finally got me something again, And so anyways, that's when she was just a natural, and started packing around to some small hunts, and guy I mentioned earlier, Carl Reed, let me hunt some dogs for him. So I was associated with Carl, and I didn't know him, just personally. I just heard a lot of people about him and talk about him. Of course, he was fortunate enough to let me hunt one of his dogs, a couple times. But I'd heard about how good of a dog man he was, and I knew the potential that Emmy had, and I knew that I couldn't do it by myself because I was a kid. I didn't know a whole lot at the time, and I just knew what I'd had, because I had the same thing in the blue dog. And so anyways, I took her to one of Carl's UKC hunts, and he guided me because he kind of heard about her, and he guided me, and she looked really good that night. Ended up getting beat, but Carl tried to buy her, and I said, no, I don't want to sell her. I like her too much, and I said, but we could partner on her, or do something if you wanted to do anything like that. And he said, no, I don't want to partner. I just want to buy her. But, long story short, he kept calling me for probably 2 weeks trying to buy her, and finally he gave in and said, well, we'll just partner on her. So I ended up giving him half of her, and we he was really good to me growing up as a kid, and even today I look at him as a father figure. He's a great guy. I mean, outside of just the sport of coon hunting, he's a great guy, and he wants to see the youth excel in whatever it is, but he took me under his wing and taught me a lot more about coon hunting than what I thought I knew, and about how to train on a dog and how to work on one, how to fix some holes that are in them, and but he hauled me all over the country, me and Emmy, and before just right after after I got my driver's license, he'd haul me. I'd go to his house and jump in the truck with him. We'd take off. We'd drive 5 hours to a $30 hunt or whatever, but we'd go all over the country. But that's how I kind of got Emmy, and that's how my partnership with Carl on Emmy kind of came about. Later on, Carl give me his half of her back, but because he was slowing down. His son Roger was getting in high school and starting to play sports and stuff like that. But anyways, that's kind of how Emmy come about. And I tell you, I can't be more thankful enough. I mean, that little dog has blessed me beyond measure. I mean, God has been with us. It's amazing. It truly is just the blessings that God has placed in my life, and definitely Emmy's one of them. Earlier I said I wouldn't be where I was at today without this sport, and that dog absolutely goes right along with that.
Hey guys, this is Jason over at the Coonhound Collective podcast. I'm here today to tell you about one of our sponsors, Conkey's Outdoors. Whether you need a few dog collars or the whole setup, they can fix you up. They have a wide range of products from hound hunting to fishing. My friends over at Conkey's Outdoors can help you out. You can order online at conkeys.outdoors.com. Call them at 904-692-1568, 904-692-1568, or if you're in the Hastings, Florida area, go by and see them. Again, that's at conkeys.outdoors.com because we support people who support our way of life. Yeah, that's pretty awesome when you can have a dog that impacts you that way. And you were talking there about Carl, kind of taking you under his wing maybe there's some young guys out there that are thinking about getting in this sport. Speak to a moment about not being scared to reach out to some of these guys that have been around for a little bit, and how important that is to have someone that you can mentor under, especially coming up in the competition ranks now. Competition, I believe, is getting tougher. How important is it to have somebody that you can kind of lean on for some guidance and direction in that area?
Oh, absolutely. It's like anything else. It's very important. It's no different than somebody that plays basketball. That's pretty good, but they're afraid to ask somebody for help, maybe. But it's very important even in this sport, to find somebody that knows what they're talking about. That's good with dogs, and the biggest thing is just, in my opinion, as far as, guys that they're coming up, I've been this way growing up, and very fortunate enough to be in this way because people have told me the same thing is, you know, whatever it is you're going to do, I mean, put in the work with it. I mean, and this sport is no different. I mean, there's going to be several nights where, they probably don't want to go coon hunting or whatever, but them dogs, you've got to have them in as absolutely as best a shape as you can have them in. And at the same time, you got to be as ready as you can be. You got to know your dog. You got to know the rules. You got to be ready for absolutely every scenario that might come up. But it does help, especially as young people, to find a mentor like that. I mean, I've told people this and kids this, since day one. I mean, I ain't no better than anybody else, but I've been fortunate enough to have been raised around some really good dog men and some very good handlers. So I've been very fortunate enough to have been raised around people like that. I mean, and my cell phone and my phone is always open, man. And if there's anybody young that ever has a question or anything that I think, they think that I might know the answer to, I don't know everything. I'm not sitting here saying I do, but I would be absolutely myself, be willing to help anybody as much as I can because I've been there. I know what it's like to just be getting started in this sport. And right now, there's more people coming into this sport than ever, I feel like. It seems like every big hunt you go to, you see new, more and more new faces. And it's great. I love it. I absolutely love seeing that in this sport. And this sport's growing. And I think that the best is yet to come with this sport. I think it's just going to continue to grow, but like I said, it's very important to find somebody that's been around, that has been around some good people and good dog men and good handlers and to learn it the right way. That's the most important part too, finding somebody that's going to teach you the right way about going about things, because I've learned over the years, it's best to do it right. I mean, it might cost you at the time or something like that, but we all do this because we love it, and we all do this because some of the best friends that I know I've made has been through this sport of coon hunting, and it's because I've done people right, and that's a very important thing for young people to understand too. I mean, guys getting into it, even when nobody's watching, do the right thing. I mean, last week at nationals, there was a situation in my semifinals cast where if I would have done something a little bit different, I'd been sitting in the final three, but I done what I thought was right, and it ended up costing me getting in the final three. But what's right? I've been very fortunate enough to know, my parents raised me right, and they said, what's right's right and what's wrong's wrong, even when nobody's looking or watching. So, but yes, sir.
Yeah, and something there I want to touch on. Well, a couple of things. One, even with me, showing up at a hunt and drawing out with certain people is even a little intimidating for me as well, just because I haven't been around that part of it a whole lot. But for a young person, it really can be. So, don't before the hunt, not during the cast or whatever, but maybe reach out to some of those guys if you're younger. Most coon hunters are willing to help. I mean, there may be a select few that won't help you out, but for the most part, I think they're willing to help for sure. And the other thing you said there, and I just done a podcast with some friends of mine over in the O show, and we talked about this. Mr. Steve Fielder has a podcast, and he talks about the golden age of coon hunting was back in the 80s or so. And Josh Michaelis has a podcast, and we've mentioned him here, and we're going to mention him again here. And he says we're in the golden age now. And I see Steve's point 100%, and I see Josh's point 100%. But one thing you said, and I said this in this podcast, is I don't know that we've reached the golden age yet. I think we're coming into it. I think we're right on the cusp of being in the golden age of coon hunting with all the podcasts that are out there, the media that's going out there, the money that can be won now going out there. You're talking about in the past. I feel like it's been like maybe the top 5, top 10% of handlers that can go out and do this for a job, for a living. That's going to open doors for more people to be able to do this. Do you see it that way?
Absolutely, 100%. This sport, the purses are getting bigger. You can go just about anywhere, once a month and compete in a $2,500 pro classic or a $6,500 pro classic and compete, for up to $18,000 a night, and that they're 3 nights long. So, I mean, that's money that guys, there's guys that do this for a living, and they make just as much money as a guy that spent 6 years in college, getting an education. And I'm not saying don't go to college, because I've been to college. It's great, but the opportunity is there for people. As long as this sport keeps growing and they keep having these big hunts like this, a lot of people, they look down on these big hunts, and I could see it both ways. But in my opinion, hey, if a man can afford to go to a big hunt and to compete for $18,000 a night, I mean, more power to him. I'm happy to see that. I really am. I love the fact that there's people that when you look on ProHound at the leading handlers for the year, anymore, it's nothing to see a handler that's won 200, 250,000 in a year. And that's awesome. I think it is, and I think this sport has got the potential to turn into something even bigger than what you see on like the FLW, and the fishing part of it, because as well as I do, that's a huge thing. I mean, all the sponsorships and things like that. And I feel like that, the potential is there, and I feel like that it's going in the that we're getting now as coon hunters. I think it's absolutely great, and I'm hoping that all of that will start pulling in some sponsors, and it'd be awesome to see some truck sponsors and stuff like that, bigger sponsors, Cabela's, things like that, come in and help this sport out. And if that happens, I mean, look out. I mean, I feel like the sky is the limit. But, like what Josh says, the golden age about being now, and Steve about back then, back then I wasn't around back then, but, I've listened to people and been around people that was back then. I mean, it seemed like that you would have more hunters back then at the smaller local hunts, but I think it was all because of the fact that there wasn't as many hunts back then. Now you can go to, I know for a fact from my house, on any given night through the week, I can go to 4 or 5 different hunts within 3 hours of my house. And back then you didn't have that. Everybody would go to these hunts on the weekends, and that was the only hunt you could go to. So you would have, I think you'd have a bunch of dogs at it just because of that. But Josh has touched on it before, and it's been a topic, that's been discussed before, and I don't know because I wasn't around back then. But some people say, the dogs were better back then, or the dogs are better now. I can't vouch for the dogs back then, but I can tell you right now, when you go and you compete on, the national level, at like nationals or PKC World Hunt, or UKC World Hunt now, or even the UKC Tournament of Champions, you're competing against the best dogs in the country. I mean, just hands down, you're not going to draw a good cast anywhere you go. At any given night, I feel like you could hunt that same cast that you draw that night 4 different times, and you're quite possibly going to get 4 different winners. The dogs today, and I know in the last probably 7 or 8 years since I've been coming and hunting hard in these hunts, I've noticed the level of dogs getting better and better and better. It just seems like every single time, every 2 or 3 years, it seems like the dogs just keep getting better and better. And I'm sure the dogs were great back then. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not trying to say, yeah, they were better. No, that wasn't. But I know for what I can tell in today's age, in the competition coon hunting world, the dogs are absolutely outstanding. Tyler Compton and I, a good friend of mine, we judged a pro classic. He got it, and I judged it. It was in Quapaw. It's a $5,000 pro classic, and it was back in November. But anyways, long story short, we turned 4 dogs loose in this cast, and we treated 15 coons, and every single dog absolutely looked flawless. I mean, you could take that cast and hunt it 4 nights in a row, and you'd have a different winner, all 4 nights. And that's the way it is on these bigger level hunts. I mean, there isn't no, hoping that this dog don't have a coon when he gets treed. I mean, because dogs in today's world and these hunts, when they get treed, they've got coons, so there ain't no hoping he's going to take a minus or make a mistake, because there's few dogs out there that can take a minus, or that's going to take a minus and come back from it, I mean, that can afford to do that. I mean, anymore, most of these dogs, they're going to treat coons. I mean, and when they get treated, they're going to have their coons. So, I mean, you've got to be packing a coon trigger. You got to be packing a dog that's going to have his coons when he trees. But, like I said, it's the golden age, I feel like, it's a debatable question. And I don't want to touch on it, whether it was back then or whether it's now, but I feel like the potential, the sky's the limit with our sport, and it's just going to continue to get better, I really feel like.
Yeah, and I think it's funny you talked about the fishing thing, because in the podcast I'd done here the other night was with a couple guys. They don't competition hunt at all, but they sit back. They only pleasure hunt. They sit back and they see what's going on. And they both said, it could be, our trucks could be lettered up like, bass boats, but before long, the skies are the limit there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you, and I feel like it would be great for our sport, to see some big sponsors come on board, and stuff like that. I mean, because, the money's there. I think, I think the money is there to compete for. The people are there now. I mean, you're getting more and more people that do great at helping promote our sport, and that helps a bunch too. And plus, these podcasts you guys do, and the filming that they do, Backwoods Heritage, the filming they do, and the filming that I've seen some other filmers that, like at Tournament of Champions, that are there, and man, it's awesome. They have, like Tournament of Champions that they've got going on. They've got a broadcast booth, and they've got guys sitting there explaining, what's going on in the cast and things like that. I mean, it's evolving, and it's awesome. I love it myself.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping I can have a dog that I can pack up and down the road one day to be able to be a part of that. I'm still working on that process. But hey guys, this is Jason over at the Coonhound Collective podcast. Is your dog box starting to get wore? Maybe it's starting to get a little cracked like mine is. Maybe you've just been thinking about it's time to upgrade to a new box, but you've asked your buddies and you're just not real sure what direction to go in. Well, let me help you out here. Go check my friends out at CZ Welding and Fabrication, Custom Dog Boxes and Aluminum Products on Facebook. You can check out all their custom work they do there and their designs that they do. If you don't see something that you don't exactly like there, reach out to Nathan at 540-810-5439, 540-810-5439, or send him a message through the Facebook page. I bet he can fix you up. Don't wait till fall to get that new dog box. Go ahead, get that dog box now. Get you something looking good in the back of your truck that you can be proud of and that you can haul your dog around in comfort. Check my friends out at CZ Welding and Fabrication. You won't go wrong. Dog boxes built by hunters for hunters. Get yours today. CZ Welding and Fabrication. Before we move on from Emmy, let's touch on what you've won with her there, if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, I tell you, God has blessed me. I got to give credit where credit's due. I mean, with not just Emmy, but in my life in general. But Emmy and I, we've been very fortunate. In 2000, like you touched on earlier, in 2014, we won the PKC Youth World Championship. 2015, she won the UKC State Championship. Also in 2015, her and I made the final three of the CHKC Youth World Championship. Ended up third in that Youth World Championship, and then in 2018, we won the truck, the PKC Senior Showdown. Of course, in 2019, won the UKC World Championship. She's been in the finals of several pro hunts. She's been a blessing to me. I'm not the type to brag on one, but she's been an absolute blessing to me, to my family. I mean, she has blessed me and us beyond measure, and I can't thank God enough, for bringing her into my life and for everything she's done for us, But she's been very great to me, and not only has she won a little bit, but she's just a pleasure to hunt. Even today, I mean, I still hunt her through the winter. Of course, when it turns out hot, I don't hardly hunt her or anything like that. But she's 10 years old, but she's just fun to hunt. She's a pleasure to hunt. But we've been very fortunate. We've made several Final Fours. She's been on the all-time lifetime earnings female list. She was on it for a year. Then she got knocked off of it. But and she's done all her winning, the hard way. She's been. I don't believe she's ever been in an entry over $300 that I can think of. So she, other than pro hunts and, PKC World Hunt, Youth World Hunt, stuff like that. I mean, she never did get entered in any of the big pro classics, but those things were just starting to come around when she was in her prime. And of course, me, I didn't have no money or nothing like that to hunt her in them, but, it was a fun deal. But she's earned it the hard way, I guess you could say. But yeah, she's been a huge blessing in my life for sure.
Yeah, that's a pretty impressive resume, even nowadays for anybody to own a dog to win that much. I mean, that's pretty impressive for sure. How many puppies she's got on the ground?
She's got, I believe she has. Let me think here. See, she had shots litter. She had 8. Then we bred her to Willie after that, and she had 8 as well. And then I think she should have around 22 pups, I think, on the ground. And I would be lying if I even had to guess what her pup earnings are. I would say it's close to probably 35,000, 32,000, something like that. But I would say it's somewhere around there. But yeah, I think she's got 22 to 24 puppies on the ground, I believe.
Okay. Yeah, I knew you had bred her a few times, and I didn't know exactly how many puppies she had. But the next dog that I was going to mention, you actually mentioned there. Let's talk about Shot, what he's out of, and how you kind of got him going, because I'm sure he's who you got in the truck with you, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, he's the one that I'm rolling down the road with right now. I got Shot. I'll tell you the story on Shot. Of course, I took this after Emmy won the truck. I wanted to breed her, and I thought, what could I breed her to? What could I breed her to? And I thought, you know what? It'd be pretty neat if I bred her to a dog that had won a truck too. So I called Kevin Cable from Indiana and talked to Kevin about breeding her to Big Money, and Kevin was absolutely great. He said, absolutely, we'll do anything we need to do to get her bred. Of course, I drew Kevin, with her, and he'd hunted with her too, in the past. And so, but anyways, long story short, we hauled her to Kevin's house, and we bred her to Big Money, and Kevin was absolutely great on the deal. She had, like I said, she had 8 puppies. My pick of the litter was it actually wasn't Shot. It was a dog that I named a millionaire. Colton Atwell from Iowa owns him now. But anyways, he was my pick of the litter. And Shot was actually Kevin's pick. And so I had Millionaire, and I had another female out of it. The rest of them we sold. And Kevin got Shot. And And so we was I'd had Millionaire, and I had the other female that a good buddy of mine, Hunter Chancellor, owns now. Call her Fit, but I had Millionaire and Fit as puppies, and I loved the way Fit acted, and but I loved the way Millionaire looked. I mean, he was absolutely picture perfect. He was colored up just like Emmy, and the older he got. But anyways, I had Colton Atwell and Sean called me from Iowa, and they said, hey, we had heard that, we used to coon hunt, we're looking to get back into it, and we're kind of wanting a really good bred puppy, and we heard that you got some off of Emmy and Big Money, and I said, well, yeah, I've got two, and so he said, well, we want a male. I said, well, I've got a male, but I don't want to sell him. I said, I've got this female here that honestly acts better than the male pup. And I'm not just, I said, I'm not just trying to tell you that so you won't buy this male pup because I don't want to sell him, but this female acts good. He said, well, we want a male pup. So, they wanted to buy Millionaire, and I didn't really want to price him. Finally, I priced him, and they bought him, and so I had Fit. Well, then I saw where a boy that lived by Kevin had shot. He wanted to sell him, and he was just a pup, and I think he was 10 months old, and so the boy had him priced reasonably, and so I just called him and bought him. And I drove to the Missouri Pro Hunt, picked him up, and I ended up starting him. But that's how I got shot, and I ended up starting him, and when I started him, he was a tree dog. He'd miss a little bit. I think honestly, he probably treat squirrels is what he'd done. But I started him, and over the years, when I was hunting him and working on him, I just saw little things about him that reminded me of Emmy when she was that age, the good and the bad. I mean, the way he operated, it was crazy. The things that he had done, the good and the bad, that was just like his mama. And I thought, man, I just saw the good in him, and I worked on him and worked on him, and I'm telling you, it's been a long process, and we've spent many and many nights just like him and his old mama and I have, just from daylight to dark hunting him, trying to get him ready, but he's 3 now. Like I said, I'm headed to the Super Stakes with him, and this will be his last Super Stakes. Um, last week we was fortunate enough to I guess 2 weeks ago now, but we was fortunate enough to get in the top 10 at nationals with him, and that's the first time that he's doubled up at a big event like that. He's up to that point, the dog had won. He'd won multiple rounds at the PKC World Hunt. He'd won multiple rounds at nationals, multiple rounds at Super Stakes. He just never could catch a break in a late round to double up and advance to the quarterfinals. But we was fortunate enough to double up last week at nationals and made it to the quarterfinals, won our quarterfinals round, then made it to the top 10, and ended up coming down to my last tree. If I had a coon, I could win, and ended up having a den. But we had a good hunt. It was me hunting shot, and Joe Manning hunting goose, and David Blake hunting major pain, and pain treed 2 coons, shot treed 2 coons, and goose treed 2 coons. And it just worked out where Payne had 200 on both of his coons, so he won the cast and ended up winning the whole event. But yeah, Shot's young. I mean, he's 3 now, and he's got a long ways to go. But he really does a lot of things that I like, and he does a lot of things that remind me of his mama. And both, like I said, both the good and the bad. But he's been a blessing to me so far. And I can't just, I'm not saying it's all his mama, because his daddy was, they could breed his daddy to anything and it would be good dogs. I mean, Big Money is absolutely a great reproducer, and I got to thank Kevin, for because he was absolutely beyond good about the whole thing about breeding to Big Money and everything. So he was good about it, and I ended up getting shot back, but it's all worked out. He's, like I said, he's been good to me so far, and hopefully we can have a little luck out here at Super Stakes this week. But
Yeah, that would be great if you could get that took care of this week. If he can go out there and perform well for you, and Speaking of performing well, speak on because you've been on the big stages here. Speak on what it takes to get you ready to perform there, and what it takes to get the dog ready to perform there to maybe even win, but to at least show up and perform.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this sport, it's no different than anything. Whether you're a football player, a baseball player, whatever. I feel like these dogs are. I mean, they're athletes. They're athletes, and you have to put in the work. I mean, that's plain and simple. You got to hunt hard. You've got to. There's nights where I didn't want to go hunting. Maybe it's raining or something like that, but I needed to because I had to get my dog in that situation. So that way, when I take him to town, say I haul him 8 hours to Indiana, and a thunderstorm, it's going to be thunderstorming on Wednesday night, and I've got to hunt him that night. You have to get your dog, in my opinion, you have to put them in about every single scenario that you can put them in to prepare them for what they might face, when you put them in these casts. But the biggest thing, too, is as far as the dog goes, is to have them in shape, and have them. Michael Ward touched on this on a podcast I listened to. He was on it. You got to have your dog in shape. I mean, that's the biggest thing, when it comes to this, because, I mean, you could hunt, like I touched on earlier. A lot of these casts you're going to draw in these big events, you could hunt that same cast 4 nights in a row, and you might have 4 different winners. It's all about who's going to catch the breaks and who's got their luck on their side. But you've got to have them in shape. You got to have them ready. I mean, and that goes along with just hunting hard, and putting in the time. And of course, every dog's different. Some dogs you can hunt 3 nights a week and they're good to go, and some dogs you got to hunt 5, 6 nights a week to keep them in shape. And as far as you being prepared as a handler, man, the biggest thing is just to know the rules and to when you're out there pleasure hunting. I'll tell you what I do a lot is, when I'm pleasure hunting, man, especially if I'm pleasure hunting with someone, like like in the back of my head, I pretend like I'm in a cast. Well, what would I do in this scenario? I mean, there's you've got to know what to do in every single scenario that might come up, that can give your dog the best shot at winning and give you the best shot at winning that you can possibly do. And of course, we expect a lot out of these dogs. I mean, I'm going to touch on something that a lot of people might not really realize or think of, but we expect a lot out of these dogs, and nutrition is absolutely a very, very important thing. When you're taking your dog and you're hauling it 8 hours to a hunt, and they're on the road for a week at a time. They might be stressed. You've got to feed them good feed. That's something that's going to keep them going round after round after round, and that's very, very important, in my opinion. As much as we ask out of these dogs, I mean, it's all about. That's where it all starts realistically. I mean, if you're feeding them good feed that's going to give them energy to go round after round, to be able to hunt them 6 nights a week, to keep them in shape, that's where the pyramid's built, in my opinion. Right there is on nutrition.
Well, I couldn't agree more with you there, Lane. We definitely, we ask a lot out of our hounds, and we need to step up and take care of them the right way, and it starts with the feed for sure. I couldn't agree more. If you could give your younger self in the coon hunting world some advice, what would it be? What would you go back and tell your younger self?
You know, uh, I tell you, it's something that I've learned over the last 5 or 6 years. But you know, there's 3 steps in my opinion, especially if I was going to tell myself this. And you've got to work hard, you got to stay dedicated, and you always got to keep faith. In our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I mean, because when He's with you, nothing is impossible. But like I said, just work hard at it. Even when you don't want to. I mean, put in the work, because it shows. There's going to be a time where the spotlight might be ready to shine on you, and you might be it might be your time. So you've got to have you and your dog prepared for that. And there's going to be times where even if you get your dog as ready as what you think you might have him, and you take him to town, and you might not the cards might not fall your way. You might not catch the breaks that you need to catch, and you might get beat, and it's at those times where you've got to stay dedicated. You got to go back home, go to the drawing board, and continue to put in work. I mean, because at the end of the day, in everything, in this sport, in my opinion, I've said it numerous times and I'll say it a million times, this sport is no different than a sport that you see professional athletes on TV. Them guys, they go to the gym. They're the first ones at the gym. They're the last ones to leave. When they win a Super Bowl, they don't just get satisfied with that. They stay hungry. They continue to go to the gym. They continue to put in the work, and that's another big thing. I mean, just staying hungry, so to speak. You've got to continue to want to be successful. You've got to continue to enjoy it too, and that's another thing. I mean, don't get all wrapped up in being so competitive that you lose your joy for it, because that's why 99% of coon hunters got started into this sport, is because they enjoyed it. Whether it be they enjoyed the dogs, the sound of the dogs, just enjoyed the hunting part, whatever the case may be. We all got into this because we love it. I mean, plain and simple. So you can't lose sight of that either. You've got to be thankful for every single opportunity that has been given to you, because that in itself is a major blessing, and you've got to be thankful too. No matter what happens, no matter how successful you are, and not just in this sport but in your life in general, you got to remember where you come from and remember who got you there, and continue to be thankful for them people, and to continue to realize that without them, you wouldn't be where you're at. So, that's in my opinion, that's something that's major. That a lot of people lose sight of. But that's something I'd probably tell myself.
Well, I think that's pretty good advice there for sure. And if I enjoy going to competition hunts because I get to meet people like you. I've got to meet your buddy there, Tyler. He's judged a cast. He's been over here to our club, and that's part of it for me, is getting out to meet like-minded people. But I tell you this: if a competition hunt stopped tonight when it gets dark, I'm still going hunting because I enjoy the dogs, and
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
what it's about. And
Yeah, absolutely.
before we move into the last two questions here, and I didn't have this on here, so if this catches you off guard, just let me know. We'll take it out. But can you talk about Tier 1 custom calls? I know you and Tyler are partners on it, but can you speak about a little bit about that, how that come about? Go ahead and plug your company, where they can find you at, and what y'all do.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely. Tyler, so to make a long story short, like I said, I touched on earlier, Tyler and I, we've been good buddies for a long time now. Tyler, I could consider him probably one of my best friends. But Tyler and I, we're kind of the same person in an aspect of, we've always kind of trying to better ourselves, and looking for the next opportunity, and one day I was sitting at home. I think it was on a Sunday or something. I can't remember now. But Tyler called me and he said, "Hey," he said, "do you want to buy a business?" And I thought, "What are you talking about?" But I said, "Well, I guess what's the details?" And he says, "Well, I think Josh Michaelis is wanting to sell Big Show game calls." And I said, "Well, find out what he wants for it or whatever, and let me know." Well, he it wasn't 45 minutes later. He calls me back and he says, "Hey, this is what Josh said he would do for us, and take for it, and this is what he do." And I said, "Well, that sounds pretty good to me. If you want to do it, we'll do it. If you think we can make it work." So, we ended up buying it from Josh. We changed the name to Tier 1 Custom Calls. The Squallers are still the same. The Phoenixes still have the same reed system that Josh come up with. The Pinnacles still have the same reed system that Josh come up with. We've added a couple things different. We sell what we call a competition pack now. It comes with the Phoenix and the Pinnacle Squaller on a 4-loop lanyard with a stopwatch that has a countdown, and also has a whistle on it. But it's a neat deal to have. We've met a lot of people, and we've learned a lot about things that we didn't know before because of this business. But it's been a blessing. It's been a neat deal. We try to we do everybody as good as what we can do them, and our customers come first. We can't thank Josh enough for giving us the opportunity to purchase Big Show game calls and to continue to manufacture and make these coon squallers. Because Josh sponsored me for years. He always took care of me, and I'm telling you, I've had a Big Show game call on my lanyard for years. Of course, now I've still got a Tier 1 custom call on my lanyard. It's the same exact call, and it works just as good, as it did when Josh had it. But, so, when we saw he was selling out, we knew, I hated it. I hated to see he was selling out, because I didn't want the squaller to continue to just completely quit, being manufactured and made because it works so well. And so, we fortunate enough we got it worked out and we got it purchased, But we have a Facebook page, Tier 1 Custom Calls. Also have a website. It's tier1customcalls.com. And if anybody is needing a squaller and they think they want to try us out, they're more than welcome to either get with Tyler or myself on our personal Facebook page, our personal cell phones, or even get on our website and order. But it's been a blessing for sure.
Yeah, well, funny story about this was I was going to get me a Big Show game call, and then Josh goes out of business. But why I wanted to do it was my pole barn had collapsed on one side, and me and a buddy was here fixing it. And I was listening to a podcast that Chris Powell done with Josh, and I had my little 7-month-old puppy just kind of running around in the yard with us. I kind of let mine run free, and he started hitting that squaller, and I thought that puppy was going to eat that Bluetooth speaker before I could get it off of him. And I seen y'all's comp packs in person, and boy, they're really nice, and I'm going to have me one of those here pretty soon. I'm going to get with y'all and get one because they are really nice. They're handy to have that stopwatch there and your squallers there too. So anybody
Yeah.
that's needing a call out there, make sure you get with Tyler Compton or Lane Denny. Look them up on Facebook, Tier 1 Custom Calls, and check them out. They're really, really good coon squallers for sure.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. We like I said, we try to we'll take care of everybody. Our customers mean more to us than selling them a product. We'd rather make a friend out of the deal as make money. I mean, we didn't buy the business to get rich. We bought it to see the squaller continue to be made and to be able to continue to put it in coon hunters' hands. So, but I sure appreciate that.
Yeah. So before we wrap up here, last few minutes here, what's the next goals for Lane Denny?
Man, I tell you, it's like anything else. You try to you always continue to try to win something else or to continue to become better. My goals would be now is to make Shot a platinum champion. He lacks about $4,000 to be a platinum champion. And he's qualified to go to the truck hunt next year. But I'm just going to continue to promote Shot, and hopefully we can get lucky, make him a platinum champion, and at that point we're probably going to go to breeding a few females to him, and I want to get something out of Shot to start, hopefully promote next. I've got this kind of thing I've got going is it's been a blessing. Emmy, it started with Emmy. She blessed me beyond measure, and now Shot's kind of starting to fall into that role, and he's got some giant shoes to fill, and I don't think he can fill them, but if he gets close to filling them, it'll be a blessing. But I just want to have my own line of dogs, as far as that goes in the sport of coon hunting. I just that's something I want to do. I want to hunt. 10 years from now, I want to be hunting something that goes back to Emmy. And that's the ultimate goal. I think that it's anybody can go out and buy a winner, but it's in my opinion. That's one reason why I respect, so many people so much is because, if they take their own dogs, it's something that they've raised out of their own dogs and they go to win with it, and that's something that you got to say about Kevin Cable. I mean, he's hunted his dogs out of his line of dogs and he's continued to win with them. But and there's several guys out there do that, and I respect them so much, and but that's my goal, and just continue to do what I love too, and that's the biggest thing is, I tell you, this sport, like you said earlier, the competition coon hunts could stop tomorrow, and I promise you, tonight I'd be turning a dog loose somewhere. I mean, I absolutely love it. And I made up with it, and hopefully one day when I have a family of my own, I can teach them about it too, and so this sport has been an absolute blessing to me, and it's been a huge part of my life, and hopefully, like I said, when I have children one day, hopefully that it could be a big part of their life too.
Yeah, well, I definitely understand that, and I think you got a good foundation there to start with Emmy, and you shot is not open to the public for breeding at this time, right?
No, sir, not right now. Like I said, when we make him a platinum champion, I've had several people want to breed to him, and when we make him a platinum champion, we're going to go to breed him to some females, and hopefully he does his part. I think he probably will. Being out of Big Money was a great reproducer, and being out of Emmy, knock on wood, everything it seems like we bred Emmy to, the pups turned out very good. So I think he'll do his part, and hopefully, with a little luck, we can make him a platinum champion pretty soon, and be able to give the public, the chance to come and breed to him.
Yeah, well, I think that'll be awesome for sure. Well, we've been at it for just over an hour already. It don't seem like it's been that long, but do you have a coon hunting story you can share with us?
Yeah. I guess the probably the story that I could tell that would be be pretty good, I guess, would be probably the first time that I ever went hunting. I mean, I've told a lot of people about it, and it's something that gives me goosebumps today. I mean, it's but like I touched on a little earlier, the dog, his name was Buck, but my dad worked with this guy. His name's Jake Williams. Got to give him definitely a shout out because he was the first person, I guess, that really took me hunting. So his name was Jake Williams, and my dad worked with him, so he invited him over to go hunting, and we, like I said, we lived on a 90-acre farm, and had a spring run through it, good woods on it. But we we show up, he shows up there, and we ended up getting our stuff around and going to the back of the place, and he unloaded Buck. And as a kid, growing up, I love dogs and animals. Of course, he loaded this big, pretty English dog, and man, I fell in love with him immediately. And I fell in love with this dog, and he put his tracking collar on him, led him around there, let him use the bathroom. He cut him loose, and when he cut him loose, I lost all interest in it, honestly, because I thought, man, there goes my buddy. I wanted to pet on him a little bit more and love on him, but I didn't know it at the time. But Buck had a job to do, and he cut Buck loose, and I had a friend with me, and me and my buddy, we was playing in the rocks there, and playing with sticks, and we wasn't paying any attention at all. And Buck opened a couple times down this holler, and the first couple times it didn't register to me. I heard it, and then he opened a few more times, and when he did, it was like something turned me around by my shoulders, and I was just focused on this dog, and I couldn't quit listening to him. My buddy was still wanting to mess around and wrestle there, and I was like, no, listen. And he's like, what? I'm like, do you not hear that? And he's like, yeah, I do. That dog's barking, but it was just something about that dog, and it was like with every single bark that Buck made, it just carried up that holler, and it hit me right in the chest, and but a few moments later, Buck trailed on down there and got treed, and went in there, and he had a coon, and that was hook, line, and sinker to me. I mean, that reeled me in just like crazy, man. I tell you, from that moment on, I knew that was it. It was game over. I knew what I was going to do for the rest of my life. Whether, I was always going to have a coon dog at my house. So, that's kind of the story about the very first time I went hunting, and it's to this day, it still gives me goosebumps, because man, it was awesome. It was a great experience, and I'm very fortunate and blessed to have had my dad invite him over and to get this ball rolling and get my journey started on this sport of coon hunting. So
Yeah, I think that's pretty awesome. That's a great story there to end with, especially after talking about guidance for other people, especially young people out there, and them getting into the sport. If you get invited, just pay attention to what's going on. It's that dog has a job to do, and I think that's a great message there, Lane, for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, Lane, I don't want to keep you any longer than we have already. We've been at it for a little over an hour, and I really appreciate you taking the time while you're on the road to uh, sit down with me and record this. I know you're driving there, and myself and everybody that listens to this, I'm sure, will be wishing you luck. This will air after the Super Stakes is a done deal, but we wish you the best of luck out there with Shot, and hopefully y'all can get it done.
Yeah, well, I like I said, I appreciate you inviting me on here and letting me talk to you. I enjoy this, and what you guys do that do these podcasts is great for our sport. And I think that we as coon hunters can't thank you enough. Because it's awesome. It helps promote our sport and helps keep it going. In the right direction. So I want to thank you. For bringing me on here today, and it's been awesome. I've enjoyed every single minute of it, and hopefully we can do it again. One day. So
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to have you back, and I'm sure we're going to have more conversations in the future together. You don't live too far from me, and I'm sure I'll be venturing over to Oklahoma if I ever get one of these young dogs up and going where I can bring him over there and actually compete.
hey, that sounds good to me. We'd love to have you.
All right, man. Will you be careful on the road, and thank you for being on the Coonhound Collective podcast today.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You have a good day.
Yes, sir.
Well, that was two-time world champion Lane Denny. I really hope you enjoyed the podcast today. If you did, head over to Facebook and leave us a comment, or head over to Instagram and leave us a comment, or send us a message on either one. Let us know that you're out there listening. We plan to bring you more interviews just like this. I've been excited to be able to get with Lane and get this done. He's been busy the last few weeks with nationals, and now as you hear, he's on the road to the Super Stakes. That will be a done deal when this podcast airs, but we wish Lane and Shot all of the luck out there. And if you're interested in a good-looking hound here in the future, when he makes him a platinum champion and offers him for stud, if you have a female out there, he would definitely be a good one to breed to, I think. You heard Tyler interview Kevin here a few episodes back, and I think that line of dogs speaks for themselves there. So if you're interested in a walker dog and one that's bred right, stay up with Lane and old Shot, and I think you won't go wrong there. Well, that's it for this week on the Coonhound Collective podcast. I hope my dogs wasn't too loud in the background, as I am sitting out on my back deck recording this on a overcast day in April, the very first week of April here, and hopefully that don't come through too bad, but that's part of the raw real life editing that we don't take out whenever we're sitting down editing these. So anyway, I hope you enjoy this today. Thank you for being the best part of the Coonhound Collective podcast. Head over to Apple, leave us a 5-star review. Make sure you check out all the rest of our podcast. Leave us a comment or send us a message at the Coonhound Collective on Facebook or Instagram. Thank you. We're about to hit the woods. Thanks, guys, for listening to the Coonhound Collective podcast today. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to listen to the podcast. If you don't mind, head over to Facebook and give us a like, and head over to Instagram and give us a follow. It's both at the Coonhound Collective. Also, if you would like to reach us here at the Coonhound Collective, you can reach us at thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. If there's someone that you would like to hear on the podcast, or a product that you would like to hear talked about, please send it to thecoonhoundcollective@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great day.